Hello, my name is Megan, and today I will be discussing effective marking and tagging methods for order Anura. So, the tagging and marking of individuals is an essential part of a lot of wildlife research. However, this can be difficult to do with specific organisms. Frogs are a perfect example of this because their small bodies and highly permeable skin make it difficult to use a lot of popular marking techniques, such as collars, paints, and tattoos, things like that. In the past, toe clipping has been widely used method, but it has recently been called into question over the ethics of it and the possible stress and physical harm it does to the animal. So, three current techniques that I'll be reviewing are one, as I mentioned, toe clipping, also visible implant elastomers, and passive integrated transponders. So first up, toe clipping has been one of the most popular methods used for marking frogs. It involves the removal of one or more toes from the frog's legs. Typically, toes are removed in a specific, unique pattern that allows for individual recognition. This method was the standard for a long time, but has recently been called into question for some ethical concerns. Some pros of this method are that it's extremely cheap in comparison to some of the other techniques. Some cons, however, is it can lead to infection or inflammation of the frog's limbs. It has also been shown to negatively impact a frog's jump distance, which this is an issue because it can cause a decline in an individual's fitness, which leads me to my next con that there is a low return and survival rate for frogs that have been marked with this method, and this can skew a lot of results. Next up is a visible implant elastomer, and this technique was originally developed for fish, but has been shown to work pretty well for many reptiles and amphibians. It is injected under the skin as a colored liquid. And after about an hour or so, that liquid solidifies into a flexible tag that can be seen externally. Um, some pros of this are that it has a very high survival rate and it does not significantly lower the locomotive ability of the frog, which is great because the frog maintains its fitness over the course of the study. The colors will remain visible for an extremely long time, even if they are to fade under natural light. Underneath a black light, they will be visible for a long amount of time. As you can see in this image here, this tag has lasted a large majority of the frog's life cycle. There are some cons to this technique, and that is that there's a limited number of individual marks as there's only a limited amount of colors. This technique is also one of the more expensive ones. Then there's the passive integrated transponder, also known as pit tag. These tags are also injected under the skin. When it comes to frogs, they're typically inserted without the use of an anesthetic. Ethanol is used to sterilize the area, and then the tag is inserted. Uh, some pros of this technique is that there's very minimal psychological disturbance to the individual. It's a very quick procedure. It does not cause a lot of stress for the frog. There's also no negative effects on the survival or growth rate of the individual relative to other methods. Some cons of this method, however, is that there's a possibility the tag could move to another part of the body, and in some cases, it could be expelled completely. This is also one of the more expensive techniques, and special equipment is required to read this tag. It is not something that you will be able to see simply from having the animal in hand or looking at the animal. So after analyzing all of these techniques, I recommend using visible implant elastomers for the tagging and marking of frogs. This technique has a very high survival rate of tagged individuals, and is also visible and very long lasting. And it is just overall better for the animal's well-being than some of the other techniques, such as toe clipping. There's a limited number of individual marks. However, this can be worked around by using multiple tags per individual. So you can use different combinations of multiple colors, and this provides a much larger pool of individual marks. Overall, I believe this technique provides a balance of effectiveness while also ensuring the animal's mental and physical well-being. And thank you so much for listening.